Hey, Book Dragons, I am so glad that you have joined me today. We are going to be talking about something a little bit different today. And this is my deck of power. Now, in other videos that you may have seen from me, when I used to do my monthly updates, I would introduce my Stein of Power into the video, or the Stein of Power. And I would draw reading prompts or names of books that I would want to read was how I started out with it. And then I switched to reading prompts. And I would have just prompts that I would draw out for ideas for books to read. So that was great. It worked okay, but it still left me wanting a little bit. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. And I was trying to figure out different ways to do it because it got pretty full of little papers. And, my hands kind of big and having to dig in there and try and fish stuff out didn't quite work well. So I saw a video from Tori over at Tori Talks where she had designed a card game for her TBR. And I was watching it, and then I was just fascinated, okay? I was fascinated watching this and thinking to myself, this is just a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea. And I told Tori, too, I said, I'm probably going to steal this from you. And she's like, yeah, go ahead. So, Tori, this is me finally making a video about my theft of your idea, which you did give me permission to do. So, and it's not completely like Tori's idea. It's my own baby. I've made it exactly to fit my needs. And I think that was the idea behind it anyway. You make something that's going to work for you. And I've seen other people do versions of it as well. Niki Hawks over at TheObsessiveBookseller. Shout out to her as well. She has an awesome TBR game that she was also inspired by Tori for, by the way. So, Tori, you have inspired many people for this. So, make sure and check out both of their channels. I'll leave them linked in the description below. And we're going to get right to introducing my deck of power. Or, the deck of power. So, I will show you what I've done. I've got 80 cards in the deck. Now, this is not all 80. I've got a few off to the side here that I'll talk about in a minute. But, I guess I better get my eyes on. Here we go. This is the front of the card. So you can see that's my reading dragon. Just kind of sitting there. And on the front of it, it says Deck of Power, Reading Prompts. And of course, on my logo, it says Book Dragon, because I'm a book dragon, right? So, and then on the back, you've got reading prompts. So on this particular one, it says a book with 3 words in the title. Now, I'm not officially drawing from the deck right now, okay? So I'm not doing that prompt, but that gives you an idea. And I'll read some of the prompts to you as well. So we'll look at those prompts in a minute, but first, I want to talk about what I have called my challengers. Now, Tori called them disruptors. I don't remember what Niki calls them on hers, but everybody's different. I call them challengers, and mine are taken from popular media, so not just books. There are some book characters in here, but it's not just from books. The first one on here is Connor MacLeod. His name is Connor MacLeod from the clan MacLeod, and he cannot die. There can be only one. If you're familiar with Highlander, that's who I've got on here. And this is the original actor, Christopher Lambert. I know that there have been one other actor, and Henry Cavill signed on to do the role right now, I think. But anyway, on here, it has the famous quote. And you can see the little exclamation point warning sign there. That tells me I've got a challenger coming up. There can be only one. Read only one traditionally published book. So if I am drawing from the deck and I draw this card, that means I can only read one traditionally published book that month or that quarter. I haven't figured out how often I'm going to do the deck of power, but we'll do more on that in the future. And then draw an extra card. So if I draw this card, I've got my challenge for the month or the quarter or whatever, and then I draw another card, presumably to get a reading prompt, okay? The next one on here is Darth Vader, and everybody knows Darth Vader. Everybody knows Darth. I find your lack of faith disturbing. Read a book you permanently quit. So if I DNF'd a book, I have to redeem that book and give it another try. That's going to be interesting. I have a couple of books in mind that I would be willing to give another try. But yeah, I'm hoping I don't get Darth Vader too often. Samwise Gamgee, from the movie and from the book Lord of the Rings, of course. And his quote is, "Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee. A friend picks a book for you and must read it with you." Now, this will be interesting, too, because it means whoever I get to pick a book for me, they have to read it with me, and I'm going to have to rope them into it. So I'll have to find someone who's willing to do that with me. I'm sure my partner would be willing to do that, and I have some close friends who would probably be willing to do that, but that wouldn't be for just anybody, right? And then we have the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who, one of my favorite Doctor Who villains. The Weeping Angels are just terrifying. Oh my goodness. So the prompt says, "You blinked. You are stuck in the past with a classic book." So I have to find a classic book to read if I get a Weeping Angel. Okay? And then we've got Lord Darkness from Legend. If you've never seen the movie Legend, you are greatly missing out. Tim Curry played Darkness, if you were not aware, and he was absolutely brilliant. And it says, "I require the solace of the shadows and the dark of the night." Read a dark and horrifying book. So that means I would be finding a horror novel, and possibly one that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. We'll see how far I'm able to, how far I'm willing to take that. But that's the prompt. Okay, the Q Continuum from Star Trek. Star Trek The Next Generation, of course. And it says, "We wanted to see if you had the ability to expand your mind and your horizons. You must read a book you said you would never read." That will be challenging. And that's the reason I did the challengers. You know, I wanted it to be challenging. I want to be challenged as a reader. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with that. The Joker. And, of course, I did Heath Ledger's Joker because he is my favorite Joker. But, of course, he's from the Batman comics as well. And it says, for the quote, "Upset the established order and everything becomes chaos. Shuffle all discards back into the deck." And so with most of these, once I've pulled the prompt out of the deck, I can discard it. That's one of my rules for the game. But with this, I have to shuffle all the cards back into the deck, and I could potentially get ones that I didn't want to read again, like some of these other challengers. And then I get to draw an extra card with the Joker as well. So I draw an extra card. The Goblin King from The Labyrinth. One of my favorite movies of all time. I love The Goblin King. And It's only forever, not long at all. That's his quote. And read a book over 1,000 pages. And there are a few books out there that I've been interested to read that are over 1,000 pages, but I've been putting them off. So this might be a chunky challenge. And then the final challenger in my challengers pile is Paul Muad'Dib from Dune. And fear is the mind killer is the quote. Read a book that intimidates you. Now, a book over 1,000 pages could easily be intimidating, right? And I do have some of those. But there are others that are under 1,000 pages that I may have been putting off or hesitant to read. And this would kind of pull me out of my comfort zone with that. So that is the intention behind the challengers. Those are all the challengers in my deck. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 challengers. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on which one of those you hope I get next. I have a feeling that I've got some friends out there that would love to see me get some of these really uncomfortable ones. So let me know. But let's look at a few of the prompts in my deck. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I do want to tell you what some of them are. So I've got a book with multiple POVs, and that's a fairly easy one. A lot of books have multiple POVs. A book with an animal companion. I would love to get that one because you know I love animal companions. A book with a steampunk setting. So that would be kind of challenging because I don't read a lot of steampunk, and I think that would be good. Read a book over 500 pages. So there's a good one. A book of short stories. A book that has been adapted for media. So movies, or it could be any media really. So like maybe it was made into a video game. I don't know. But The Witcher would count for that. It was made into a video game first before we got the TV show. So yeah, that would be interesting. Let's see here. What's another one? I don't read a ton of young adult, so read a young adult book would be a good one for me. A book you know nothing about, that might be an interesting challenge. A book with a dynamic duo. Now that might be kind of challenging because I don't think there's a whole lot of books out there that have a dynamic duo. There's a few I can think of off the top of my head, one of which I've read already. So, a book I'm on the fence about. So that's a good one. A graphic novel would be fun. I don't read a ton of graphic novels, so there's that. A book with a library or a bookshop. A book with a house with secrets. And this is really cool. I love houses with personalities, so that might be fun. Read a book by a classic sci-fi author. That would be challenging because I have not read a lot of sci-fi period, let alone a lot of classic sci-fi. So that would be kind of interesting. Read a translated book. I would like to read more translated books, so that'll be good. I think I've got a lot of different prompts in this deck, and the nice thing is once I've completed a prompt, I can set it aside. I can discard it unless I get that card that requires me to shuffle it back in. So yeah, I've got one for a gothic novel. Lots of really good ideas in here that I'm really excited about. And so as you can see, my idea for my game, or my reading prompts game, was really simple. I didn't want anything super complex because I don't do a strict TBR anymore. You know, I'm very much of a mood reader, and so I figured this would keep it simple but also give me some challenges in my mood reading. So Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear your feedback, your input on this deck of power that I have created. And I would love to know if you guys gamify your rating at all. Let me know what you do. Let me know what some of the things you've done in the past or what you currently do and how they work for you. That would be awesome. I'd love to hear it. And eventually I am going to figure out how I'm going to work this in, whether I'm going to do it monthly or quarterly. So I may film a separate video for that. I may do it as a YouTube short even. So keep your eye out for that. But this is just my introduction to my game. And then we're going to figure out how to go from there. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, make sure you read more books. And if you want to watch more of my videos, check out the end screen here.